Okay, so here's what you'll need to do for your DIY power supply. First, you'll need a Phillips screwdriver, wire cutters, your power cord for your power supply, and a paper clip that you can bend into any type of formation like this. You'll also need scissors. Now let's talk about the power supply that you should use. For this one, let's see if I can get it in the camera here. I'm just using an I micro power supply. It's 400 watts. It's not going to focus. And then on the 12 volt rail, it has 26 amps. So you always want to make sure you have that amperage on the 12 volt rail somewhere around 18 to 20 or so, like that. So the first step to do, you want to make sure it works right out of the box so it's not dead on arrival, or DOA, some people would say. What you're going to do, you're going to take your paper clip, you're going to get your 20 or 24 port thing here. And by the way, this is an ATX power supply. But you're going to get your 20 or 24 port connector here. This is your 24. This one actually pops off like that, and you have 20. I'm just going to go for 24 as ease, because that's what most people will have. You're going to stick one end of the paper clip into the top port as you're looking at the clip, fourth over. Right there. Then you're going to stick one end into a negative. Any negative, which is the black port. And usually, or it will be, I guarantee, a green cable that you're going to stick it in, and then a black cable. Green is the signal for the soft on-off switch that you have on your computer. Whether it's your laptop, it's probably the top of it, or if it's your desktop, it's probably on the tower, just on the front somewhere. And this is basically tripping that switch. Once you get that done, you kind of want to isolate that from all the other wires while you test it. Make sure this is still on the camera here. Yeah, it's still on. Then, what I like to do is plug in the power supply right here. And then we're going to turn that towards you so you might be able to see the fan if it turns on. Then plug it in and turn it on. And you can hear that. There's fans going. I can feel air blowing out right here. So right now, all these wires are hot and producing 5, 4.8, or 3 volts, whatever it may be. And also the 12 volts too. So you might want to go ahead and switch that off. Then unplug this, pull it off at the vol tube, turn it on just for safety, and turn it back off to make sure there's no voltage. Pull out your paper clip, and we are ready to proceed to the next step. Then what you'll need to do is, I've already done this, but they have these little zip ties around some of the wires, like that. You will want to cut those off. So go ahead and do that, and resume the video when you are done. Okay, now that you have the zip ties cut off, this will be your next step. You'll want to find the wires that you need. And you're going to need the yellow wires and the black wires. Yellow is 12 volt positive, black is negative. And you will also want to keep that one green wire. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take all these wires right here on this one port and just snip them. Take this port and snip all the wires. Take this port and snip all the wires. Take this port, snip all the wires. You don't have to do it in this order though. Then this is going to take a few snips to get it done. So I'll start over here. 1, 2, that gets your big ATX connector off. So now you just have a whole bundle of wires right now. All you're doing is you do want to make sure it's unplugged and off. So your next goal is to sort out all the yellow wires. I'm going to do that real quick. So there's all the yellow wires, and what I'm going to do is get my blue painter's tape here. And tape them together so I will not lose them. Then you're going to find all your black wires, which there are a lot of. Now I'm hooking this up for higher loads because I'm going to be running 2 chargers charging at a pretty high rate. So we're going to connect all these black and yellow cables together, like all the black together and all the yellow together. But just don't short them out. Didn't know that purple. Tape all the black cables together. And bingo, you have your positive and negative. So all these other cables, but the green, you're going to pull out the green and just kind of set it in the middle there. All these other cables you're going to want to cut off just about right here. That way you can tape them up and just kind of tape them over like that so they're not touching anything. You just want it so it's not connected to anything. It won't short anything out. It's just insulated good. So I'm going to take my snips and right here. So take a couple of hacks at it. And there we go. That's all the wires that we don't need. Just top this off to the side, boomed up. Okay, now for the fun part. First, what you're going to need to do is strip all the yellow wires. Just maybe that much. I mean, you want to be able to cover it with like duct tape or something. I'll use this. I'm going to use a knife for ease. Time lapse. You might want to get a pair of these somewhere. Helps tremendously. Okay, once you get all the yellow wires stripped, please set those aside. Next, you're going to strip all your black wires. And all the black wires. Okay, now that you have all of your negative power supply, all of them but one, let me get that real quick. Now that you have all of your negative power supply stripped, kind of going to set these off to the side and pull up your green wire that you still have. And you're going to want to strip that. If you can. There you go. Got that nice and stripped, and you're going to pull up one black wire. I don't care which one, just any one. That way your power supply will turn on. And I'll probably solder these together later. So there's your switch. Your power supply will now turn on. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count out the yellow wires here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're only going to use 7 black wires. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so now I'm going to cut all the rest of these black wires off because there's no need for them. Just come off right here. Grab the wire cutters. So now all your positives in our next step, we're going to wire those together and wire all your negatives together so it's coming out one wire, and that wire can branch off, or you can wire it so there's like, I don't know how many you're gonna have, but I'm gonna do one of 3 and one of 4. That way it's just a little more compatible. But I'm going to go up and eat breakfast first, so I'll be right back and we'll continue on to step. Okay, so here's what I've done just as an update. I've changed plans a little. I snipped the blue wire a little shorter and soldered it to the black wire, or the green wire a little shorter. I put heat shrink on that right there so that doesn't short out, and just kind of tape it over here. I've separated the wires out so you have yellow and black, then just the other colors that you don't use back here. I've changed it, and I'm using a shorter black wire here for the ground to the soft on switch, and you're going to keep out 8 black wires. That way you can solder 4 and 4, that way they each have the same amount of grounding power. And on these wires, I stripped them a little longer. I'm going to do one with 3 wires and one with 4. It's the best way I can figure out how to do it. And then 2 of 4 wires bundled together here, that way I can draw a fair amount of current through it and it will still hold up pretty good. I will solder this together and show you the final project in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do one of the rails for the power supply. If you haven't noticed, I have all these other wires out and taped together so they're off to the side and out of the way that I don't need. So what I do is I grab the 4 negative wires that I'm going to use. I'm going to put them, let me get them untangled here. Notice that I've stripped them just a little longer than I had, and strip them out yay long for all of the wires. So I get them together like this, 2 on top of each other, then just twist it up. And once you get those twisted up like that, I knock the solder off my iron because I've been working on this for a while. Then you want to get a nice pool on there. And then just put the tip towards the back on there. Let that heat up. Then put the solder on here. Get a little wicked in there. Then it starts to melt. And you're only going to solder towards the back. That way the front is still free and able to conduct electricity. I'm only soldering towards the back to hold them together. Be careful because it's going to be hot, and then there you go. That should be your, that shows a little better. That should be your solder joint, and that's my last joint on this power supply. So I have my 2 negatives right here, and my 2 positives right here, and I have my circuit, or my on switch, soldered together. I'm just going to kind of tip that off to the side along with all the other excess wires. Yeah, we still have to insulate some of the wires. So what I'm going to do now, just take the wires that we don't need to insulate out of the way. And keep in mind, the power supply is still off. I have not turned it on yet. Just take these out of the way here. There we go, got that. So, hot glue on the end. Got that. So one's done with hot glue, so you can see how it's done. get a pan and melt some hot glue and dip it in that. To do that to the remaining wires, you'll want to worry about the wires that are colored. So like the orange, purple, gray, blue, red. Do those first in case you run out of stuff. Black shouldn't really matter since it's just ground, but don't take my recommendation on that. I would recommend covering all of them, which is what I'm going to do, and I will bring this back when I'm done to show you. Okay, so this is the first real test of the 12-volt power supply that I've made. I have the two hookups hooked up to the Hobby King Eco 6 and the Electrifly Triton Jr. Not plugged in yet, and I'll plug it in right now. Plugged in. Let's turn the sucker on and see what she does. And it works. No flames, no sparks, nothing yet. Charge test, we're going to use one Rhino 360 milliamp hour 3-cell battery and one Carnegie 1300 3-cell battery. I'm not going to do that one first. Start over here. It says that's charging good. I'm going to try and bring that in just a little closer. Have the display on there. It's charging this little 3-cell battery once again. So we're going to check voltage that it's putting out. Yes. Okay, so it's negative. End voltage. Cut off. Input power voltage 12.29 volts. And that's exactly what we need for charging. And it's working good right now, only pulling 0.4 amps, and it is possible to pull 26 amps. So I'm only pulling a fraction of what it's able to handle. So far I'm very impressed with the operation of this power source. It's a very quiet power source. It doesn't seem to be getting too hot, although I may move these wires to facilitate airflow better. There will be more videos coming soon. As you can see, I have a lot of projects I'm working on at the moment. More projects, even more projects, even more projects, and a green screen. So that is the end of our how to do your own power supply. Hope it wasn't too long and boring, but this is it. Be sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter at RC5YNJ. Thanks.